Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are back. Uh, for those who remember us, when we were called CounterPick, FGC, and beyond. Welcome back. I know it's been about a year. My name is Samuel Ray, otherwise known as s-factor-sam. I'm s-factor-sam and Dr. Sam, depending on where you know me from. But yeah, so we are back. This is Counterpick New Perspectives. And with me is my co host here. Yep. So we used to have this podcast. We mostly talked about fighting game type topics in and around the genre and the community. But we have decided to broaden our net a bit. So we're starting up the podcast anew. It's going to be a live stream once a month, as long as we can, of course. Next month is a different case. Due to personal circumstances, we won't be able to do the podcast. But starting the month after, in August, it'll be a monthly thing for as much as we can. And we're going to talk about various topics in and around gaming, all genres, all spaces, all kind of we're gonna keep it relatively non-controversial, of course, just because that's how I roll. But that's how we both roll. But yeah, we like to go into various topics and concepts in game design. You know how it interacts with psychology of the players and other such things. So yeah, today is going to be a simple episode. We're just going to give you a quick rundown on who we are, what we're about, what the format of the show is going to be going forward, and then kind of wrap it up there. So let's get started with what we've been up to over this last year since we did our last podcast episode. So, Sai, what you been up to?
About once, to be honest, I find it difficult to establish a schedule with that, but I'm trying to get back to streaming. I've yeah, mostly just been, living life, working, chilling.
Yeah. Also, I realized I accidentally had Discord muted, so give a quick introduction to who you
Oh,
are for the new people as well. So that'll
yeah.
serve two
I
purposes
was
there.
Wait, was I muted when I introduced myself? All
Yes.
right. Yeah, we're professionals, ladies and gentlemen. I I am Samson, aka Cy Prime. I don't have a doctorate in
I mean, I
internet,
don't have a
I
doctorate
guess.
either.
No, internet doctorate.
Yeah.
Your sources, you made it the heck up. So,
Source is my own.
yeah. Sources, just trust me, bro. Um, yeah, so that's it. I'm
Yeah.
this one's brother. Hello.
Yep. So yeah, we've he's kind of been my partner in crime for quite a long time.
Yeah,
20
all my
plus
life.
years in games. So yeah, we have similar tastes, but at a certain point, our tastes kind of did diverge from each other, which gives us a more wide breadth of perspectives on things.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we agree on a lot of things. We also disagree on a lot of things. So that's what
And
keeps it
sometimes
balanced.
I'm gonna be here to speak for the people as well.
The voice of the people.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what's your favorite?
Devil's
What
advocate,
are your
but
favorite games or genres to play recently?
uh
Like what you been into?
I mean, well, it's been I've been playing, like, you know card games. I've been playing Mega Man X Dive, but that's mostly just a little time waster gotcha sort of thing.
It's fun though. I
Um,
mean, it's mobile, but it's Mega Man X. It's definitely, I think, more in terms of gameplay, pretty good quality compared to most mobile games. It's a platformer. They didn't like water down the platformer gameplay, which is why I
Yeah,
like it.
yeah. I've also
'Cause
been playing Pokemon Unite. We've played some Apex, and my most recent stream, I started Jump King,
joking.
which is pain, but it's also fun.
Yeah, I remember you were streaming that, and it took you almost an hour to get past the first section.
Yeah, I got
It's
to the
painful.
point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna end stream in 10 minutes. Fell all the way down to the beginning. I'm like, no, 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 no. I have to get to the next area again. I was just there. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's pretty nuts. I'm planning on getting that sometime soon and probably streaming that. When I don't have anything else to do. Um, as for me over the last year, I've been doing a bit more in terms of streaming. Um, let's see. So from since June last year, let's see, I got heavy into Monster Hunter Rise. That's for sure. Not long after our last podcast episode, actually. And that I put 278, I think, hours into the game last I saw. So yeah, it's definitely hooked me more than most games have. It's such a good game. I mean, for me, honestly, the difficulty was in the sweet spot. I could play how I wanted for like 250 hours, and then when I got to the last like 10 hardest event quests, yeah, at that point, I need to use some meta builds, and the game earned it by letting me get through most of the 98% of the content, playing however I wanted and whatever builds I wanted, and that was just so much fun. And I met some really good streamers and cool people. Through that game. So it was a good time. It's definitely one of my favorites, become one of my main games, and I'm hyped for Sunbreak expansion to come out at the end of this month, end of June
Yeah,
30th.
yeah. I haven't been playing much Monster Hunter. I've played with you a couple of times.
Mhm.
My time count is at 170. I just checked, but
Yeah, that's still good.
I'm gonna probably start playing again when
Extreme it.
Sunbreak comes around. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, why not? Um, and then let's see, what else? Oh yeah, I got into some more single player games too. Because since stopping with the podcast when it went on hiatus, I kind of lost a lot of my drive to play fighting games. I'm not going to go into depth as to why. You can follow the show. We'll probably discuss it in future episodes for sure, especially if the
It'll draw,
topic is related to it. And I've talked about it on my
or if
Twitter.
it's not related to it, this
Ah,
guy will bring it up.
yeah, but I try not to do that too much, at least compared to how I used to. But that's part of why I wanted to switch this podcast away from being just fighting games. I wanted to be able to talk about more things, and and not be beholden to that. I mean, I still like fighting games and I want to like them, but things happen. Games change, people change, genres change. But that's not really the point of this episode here.
I
I've
should
been
also I should finish Moncage. I really
Oh
should.
yeah. Oh yeah, you haven't finished that. Um but yeah, so I legit have played a lot more single player games. I recently got into Warframe, actually, and that's a lot of fun. I mean, Super Space Ninjas, third person shooter melee action in the game, because there's a lot of melee combat for a third person shooter. And it's a lot of fun. I'm still in the early game, so there's like not a lot of people at my level, and I'm playing on Switch because playing in handheld is part of the reason I'm even playing it. I'll be honest. If I sat down on a computer, there's too many other games to play. For some games and genres. And then I played through the entirety of the Blaster Master Zero trilogy. Retro style, Metroidvania kind of games, but a little more platformery than Metroidvania type gameplay. It's a little bit more like a Mega Man like platformer than a full-on Metroid type game. Really fun, great trilogy, I would say. If you enjoy those kind of games, I definitely advise them. They're not expensive at their base, but if you get them on sale, then it's really good gaming for cheap. Really high quality indie games. I would call them kind of double A because they are funded. The studio is funded. It's Integrates, so they're not exactly like low budget indie. But yeah, but they're not, AAA, of course.
Right.
I honestly haven't gotten into that many AAA games, though. In the past several months, I did come to find that I really enjoy the Battle Royale series. For the longest time, while I was like, especially while I was into fighting games, 1v1 and all that, I kind of
Battle
drifted
Royale
away.
series.
Well, Battle Royale games, like the genre.
Oh, like genre. Okay.
Because
Right.
I got into, while I was into 1v1 PvP, I kind of hated team-based games. But with time, I've kind of found that there is a lot of fun to be had in it, and especially in battle royales where there's just enough randomization to keep things fresh every time. Like, and as someone who wants a fresher experience and more, you know, um, adapting mid-match and understanding the game itself more than memorization elements, having that element of random really does promote that. So it's I've come to really enjoy it, and I stopped disliking certain battle royales just because they're popular. You know, I've kind of come to the realization that
Yeah. No.
things are popular for a reason. Some reasons will be good, some
Sometimes.
reasons will be bad, but there's always a reason. And so I've learned to look into that reason for myself and see if it jives with what I want out of a game.
I
So
mean, yeah. Uh, I've tried some or like one. I don't know, but it just see the thing about battle royales or like nowadays shooters, it just doesn't vibe with me unless I'm playing with friends. You know,
oh
like
yeah, it's definitely
I
better with
don't
friends.
ever I don't ever really boot up Apex unless I'm playing it with the dudes. Uh,
Yeah.
like the last shooter that pulled me in was years ago when
Hmm.
when I was playing Overwatch back when it was much newer, and before that was Transformers: Fall of Cybertron.
Yeah,
Transform Transformers Net here, and unfortunately, that one's dead, and I don't think we're ever gonna be
they
getting
shut down the servers. That's a
yeah,
shame.
ever really gonna be getting another Transformers shooter. I don't think. And
Unfortunately.
like back when I tried to play that tried to play it like years after its heyday and the
Hmm.
servers were still up, got into it. You know we've talked about this before, but I ended up being in a match that had like two other people in it,
Yeah.
literally, and then one of those people left, and then it was just me driving around the map continually, just taking out this one enemy Decepticon. It was sad.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Um,
But that's how it goes with live service games. Sometimes they become dead service games.
yep, that is the one downside. At least that game still has a good campaign, single player campaign. Um, because a lot of live service games, once
Now
they have
I
no single player content, so once
now
the servers are
I
done,
wish I could get Transformers Devastation,
hmm.
because that
Oh,
game isn't sold digitally anymore. You can
I
only
forgot about that.
Yeah, you can only play it on
Why did they
physical
delist it? That's a
copies, except I only have Switch and PC,
right.
so I cannot.
Yeah, I
Even
still
if
have
I
my
bought
digital
a physical
copy on
copy of the game.
PS4, so I can re-download that anytime I want. So maybe I'll let you borrow my PS4 sometime, and you could. That would be a good stream game.
I'm still struggling to figure out what um, game and when to play it to actually get viewers. Because the thing is, for one thing,
Yeah.
fighting games don't get new viewers, and I don't know what
It's
else
hit
I
or
want
miss. It's a coin
to
flip because
play
sometimes you get the
and
people who
when.
are like very, very like passionate about supporting anyone who plays the game and streams it and will want you to play it more, so they'll come out and support.
Okay,
But
yes,
then if it's a
yes,
really
and
popular, that's the less popular
well,
ones though.
okay, but that's the thing though,
Yeah.
and I've gotten that with Fantasy Strike.
Yeah.
But you know what's the problem with that?
You're playing people who have been playing
No,
the
no, no,
game.
no, no, no,
Oh,
no.
no.
The problem is the viewers that you get there
Hmm.
don't come for any other game,
Right. So there's less
so it's not going to be a
crossover.
general audience.
Fair enough. Yeah. And that's the thing. Being a we'll probably get into this as a topic, but being a variety streamer is a slower growth path. You know, if you find a niche and cater to that niche all the time, just play that game or that two games or whatever, one, two, three, whatever, just that small selection of games that cater to that niche, you will quickly appeal to the people who are in that niche, but you're capped in how much you can grow long term, and those people aren't going to care much about when you want to play other games. You know, that deviate from that niche. You feel like you want a little more variety, you know, and then all of a sudden, you know, your viewership tanks because they're not interested in watching that. And it's just, yeah.
And I mean, you can't blame them for that, but
No, absolutely. But
I just don't know. I don't know what to play, and I don't know when to stream. So
exactly.
I kind of just don't know how to start.
Yeah, because then when you are playing, if you're doing if you're doing variety streams, then you gotta draw people in by your personality. You know.
Yeah, and I mean, I enjoyed Moncage.
Oh yeah.
But it was literally just you and
Sapphire
and Rick. Yeah.
Rixby's, yeah.
Watching. So.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's like, yeah, it's hard to find your niche without it being too niche. Obviously, no one can appeal to everyone. So you got to find your niche, but you want to keep that niche from being overly restrictive. It's definitely a hard balance to find. And then that's why with the sheer amount of people who stream all the time, that's why you know, having an average viewer count of 6 or more puts you in the upper like 19% or 9% or something crazy. Like it's nuts because like the expectations a lot of these like the companies, like publishers, like for example, just the other day, like a game like Friday's stream is going to be I'm going to stream Roller Champions because that just recently launched, and so I'll be able to have Twitch drops on that. And it's a fun game. I've already played it quite a bit, and it's actually a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. I decided to go look at their creator system. They have a content creator program. You know, it's Ubisoft though, so you know I had to keep my expectations pretty low. So I went and took a look at it, and the minimum to be eligible for a streamer is 10 viewers average. And we know that on Twitch, 6 viewers average is a crazy good, you know, it's upper percentages, you know, in the double digits or whatever, like the low double digits, like it's a small, it's a small amount of people who can actually have 6 or more average viewers on all their streams. And so for the Ubisoft content creator program, you have to have 10 average over the last 3 months. Or the whole last 3 months. So I'm just like, wow, that's really going to limit their content creator program partners to the you know, a percentage of the percentage. It was a little disappointing.
To be fair, they are, you know, looking for the ones that it's worth it to partner with.
Yeah, so, and I saw someone on Twitter who said like that it's a little disappointing though to try and, you know, partner with the biggest of the biggest streamers who don't really care about your game to get that quick injection, as opposed to the, you know, medium-sized streamers who really love your game and are going to constantly give you that you know, airtime, as opposed to like, oh, we're gonna pay this, you know, top 1 or top 2% streamer who's only gonna play the game like once every 5 months, you know, or they're only gonna play it for a couple months, and then when they get bored, they go back to what they were, you know, succeeding with before and never touch your game again. It's like, you know, you got to find that mid ground, I think. But you know, corporations are very nearsighted. They got to get their return for investment within the quarter, right, or whatever. So it's like, it's a really finicky area, and the streaming game is highly competitive. Even though people try to say, you know, don't treat other streamers like they're competitors, you know, like they're your competition, but it's a competitive market because you're competing for viewers' attention with every other streamer on the platform, you know, especially the ones who And it is very much a rich get richer, poor get poorer kind of thing, because those who already are successful have an easier time maintaining that than a startup as getting to that point. So it's definitely an uphill climb, that's for sure. That's why it's definitely something that's good to have as a hobby. Don't make it your primary source of income or anything like that. Way too unstable for that. Um, but yeah. So anyway, yeah. So we're both getting into streaming game. I decided I wanted to get the podcast going up again. We enjoyed doing that before. For what was it the better part of a year, I would say, when we first did it. Um, Maybe half a year, something like that. But I think by having a wider net in what we can talk about, we can keep it going longer. Um,
Honestly, I need to play more games too.
that too, yeah, because you do. I mean, you have a. Everyone has.
I tend to get into a routine.
Yeah.
Okay, and
yeah, and I tend to kind of get bored with games. If I play one game too much, I kind of get bored with it. Monster Hunter Rise being the exception. 270 plus hours. I didn't get bored until I had like 6 missions left, and I at some point I want to knuckle down and just get those 6 toughest quests done before this month. I want to do it this month, but that way I'll have completed 100% of quests in the game in preparation for Sunbreak. I'm not sure if I'll do them on stream or off stream though, honestly.
I've also been considering, like I said, when to stream, because I was thinking perhaps about doing, I looked online about when to. We talked about this before, but saw some advice online that you get more new eyes on you after midnight or before 8 o'clock.
Yeah, there are peak times to find people using the platform.
So perhaps, I don't know. Still thinking about that, but
fair enough. I mean, it makes sense. I'm in a place right now where I'm kind of trying to figure out what games like. I mean, so I hit Twitch affiliate in about 3 months, doing 1 stream a week, which apparently is no small feat from what I've seen. In terms of like the speed and having a low rate of streaming like that, but the consistency having to be every Friday, I think, is what did it. People knew when to come by, and I had 2 main games that I streamed: Monster Hunter Rise, when it was still a bit more hot, and Pokemon Unite, because it was a little newer at the time as well. So I think those
might have also had some benefit from that VTuber tag.
The what?
The VTuber tag
I don't know.
boost.
I mean, I didn't even
Maybe.
start. I wasn't even using the VTuber tag when I first started using my avatar. So I'm not. I could argue that it may have. I have no idea. I'll be completely honest. I don't know how many people search specifically for VTubers on Twitch, especially since YouTube is more known as a platform with VTubers on it. But and VTubers are. It might have. I don't know. Regardless, all I know is it was a good time, the road up to affiliate. I was multi-streaming to Twitch and YouTube. I'm not sure how much that contributed to it, but yeah, I hit affiliate in 3 months. But in the time since then, I've kind of seen my viewership slowly go back down. So I'm still figuring things out on my end, taking my time with it. I'm not trying to make it my job. I can take my time, figure things out, and if I don't feel it one week, I'm just not up to it, I can cancel, and it's not going to exactly hurt my pocketbook. So that flexibility really does help in terms of experimenting with things. So I'm gonna try some new things out, thinking of maybe trying out more games with crossplay, and like free games with crossplay, or just free games in general. That way, more people could get involved even if they haven't bought the game, so to speak, or they have it on a different platform than me, they can still participate. You know?
Yeah, that reminds me too. I think we're both kind of waiting for what's the name? Multiverses coming out.
Multiverses.
Yeah,
Oh, yes, that game looks so good. It's unfortunate that the open beta is next. It's not. Yeah, it's in July. You'll be able to play it
yeah.
on PC. It's not on Switch, so you'll be able to
Oh,
play it
that,
on your PC.
and to be honest,
I won't be able to play it in
that's
much
another
in
thing
July at all. I may
about
not be
me
able to play at all.
deciding when to stream too, because I'm not too keen to stream at the same time as you, as if like I was to be competing or whatnot. Like maybe that's just me. Maybe I should just stream Friday evenings anyway. I don't.
Yeah, I get you. Also, real quick, I want to say hello, Chi. Being the first to
Hey,
pop into the chat.
what's up?
Hope you're having a
Nice.
good day. And yeah, so we just been chatting it up a little bit, giving everyone a feel for who we are. That's what this episode's about. So it's going to be shorter than most.
Yeah,
Our episodes tended to be, I would say, 2 hours or less was what we tried to limit ourselves
yeah,
to.
yeah. It
We
was
only
about
a time, I think only once did we go over 2 hours. I think that was the episode with Shin Kenso. Just because that was we had a lot to talk about in that episode. That was a good
yeah,
one. Actually, I think that might have been the last episode we uploaded too before we went on hiatus.
probably.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that was peak counterpick on that one because there was a lot of back and forth on those topics. But yeah, had a lot of insight because he was very knowledgeable and been a long time fighting game community guy. So yeah, maybe we can have him back on again in the future if we talk about a topic that's very specifically relevant to the fighting game genre. He's also been into Apex a lot lately, so I have an idea on a topic that might be great for him to be on the show. And so maybe real quick, I can go into a little bit about what the format for the show will be in the future.
All right, tell us about it.
All right, so let me break it down for you. So generally, our episodes used to be just kind of it was just recorded, solely recorded, and it was just a chatting with the guys feel. I hope we can kind of keep that. So we're not going to be interacting with chat as much when we have our podcast episodes, at least during the main topic, and that's where it's going to differentiate from what we did in the past. I'm hoping to have 2 or 3 topics per episode. The main topic will just be chatting it up, you, me, and hopefully a guest member each episode, or as many episodes as we can anyway. But yeah, and so that's going to be that. It's going to feel the same.
Maybe not every episode, but
Yeah, and so it's going to feel the same. We're going to go for the same feel for the main portion of each show. But then I want to get more people involved. I want to get the viewers and the listeners involved because this show is live on Twitch whenever we do our monthly show, and then the VOD will be unlisted after that immediately, automatically actually, and then 24 hours later it'll be uploaded to YouTube. That's where the video portion will remain archived, and then just like with the old show, it'll be uploaded in audio form to various podcast platforms. We got Spotify, we got Google Podcasts, we got I forget some of the other ones. But they're distributed on Anchor.fm. So I'll still be using that to distribute the audio only version. That'll be mildly edited, trimmed down in size and such. Maybe remaster the audio a little bit for the audio only version. And then so for audience participation, for one, I've got chat on the screen for the video versions, so that'll remain as it is. And then I'm going to allow both Twitch subscribers and Patreon supporters, which I have a Patreon now. So Twitch subscribers and Patreon supporters will be able to participate in one portion. So I'm thinking at that portion I'll switch it to sub-only mode. And then we'll I'm not sure about that one. I'll decide on that one soon, but it'll be a topic voted on by Twitch subscribers and Patreon supporters in my Discord channel. So let me throw the Discord into the chat. There you go. So yeah, so there's an exclusive channel in my Discord server for only Twitch subscribers and Patreon supporters. That's where I'll post the polls for them. So they can vote on a topic, and that'll be our second topic of each episode. As long as we have, some votes on that. If not, if there are no one to vote on that, then we'll just skip that portion, and we'll go into the general audience voting portion. So I'll be putting out like votes in Discord general, and for everyone to vote on, and on Twitter. So 2 or 3 topics, basically. We have the general, we have our main topic, general audience topic, and then supporter voted topic. And that's how it's gonna go. So I'm gonna stick those in there. I definitely advise on the Patreon. I definitely advise waiting on that until August, since, like I said, I'm not going to be able to do much in July.
And hey, maybe sometimes I'll bring something to the table. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I can actually.
Well, we'll definitely be able to plan.
Instead of just being here and saying words.
Well, no, you and me are going to be part of the planning for the main topic.
Yeah,
every episode, of course.
Right.
Sai here, he's going to be the primary co-host. He, as always, he's always been my my partner in crime. So it's me and him, and then we have our third guest episode and episode. What am I talking about? Third guest speaker, third seat guest speaker. Yeah, and like in English, and but yeah,
speak about 90% English.
And generally, I try to pick the guest based on like if they have a lot to talk about on the topic, the main topic. So, yep. So also over on Twitter, if you have any suggestions on people you'd like to see, or topics for the viewer topic, or main topic ideas, you can actually hit me up on Twitter at s_factor_sam. And that's where I'm going to be doing everything, all the announcements, social media announcements and such for my for this podcast, as well as my own streams and YouTube content and so on. But and there's actually a hashtag on Twitter now for the podcast, so you can always do that. Yep, it's just CounterPick Pod, all together as one word. Kept it simple. No one else used it, so I claimed it. So yeah, but that's my Twitter hashtag for the show, and then that's pretty much it. That's the format going forward. Is the main section gonna keep the feel of the old one? We just have a topic and we just talk, and we're probably gonna go on tangents and try to rein it back in, and it's just the chatting with the dudes, so to speak.
Yeah, our classic left field.
Oh yeah, we're the kings of left field.
We live in
left
the field
all the time.
The left specifically.
We're gonna have to try to rein it in a bit more though, because being a 2 or 3 topic show now means we gotta keep things a little more on point.
Yeah, aka I'll have to rein you in.
Yes, I know. I have a tendency to ramble. So it's a monthly release, monthly show. However, I will be also doing shorter uploads on my YouTube that are now going to be under the same name umbrella of CounterPick New Perspectives. I decided that my discussion content on YouTube, that's how I'm going to brand it.
We've got a question here. That is it going to be a weekly release?
Yep. And that's what I said. It's a monthly release, monthly show, live on Twitch, and then uploaded onto YouTube and audio only podcast platforms. So yeah, so monthly show, and then supplementary material, you could say, under the same brand umbrella, on my YouTube, and that's how it's going to be going forward. And that will be, it's not going to be under the same kind of like structure on YouTube. Like obviously it'll be me and whoever I decide to have on with me, if any, or it just might be me giving my thoughts and opinions. Yep. We are on Spotify. Actually, it's already on there. CounterPick New Perspectives, so you can follow it now. Actually, um, in fact, you'll give me a second. I'm actually going to pull up our anchor and tell you exactly where it's available. Brief second there. Okay. I had already logged in earlier, so that's convenient. Okay. Alright, so I use Anchor.fm to distribute it, and it goes out to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Amazon Music, Castbox. Wait, is it going to all these? Hang on. I may have gotten that wrong. Give me a second. If I go to the public page, that's how I'll be able to see. So I may have to cut this out.
Cut this out. Yeah, I was just about to say.
Okay, hang on. Public site. There we go. It's been a minute since I've touched the podcast stuff. All right, there we go. Oh yeah, no, I was right. Okay, so yeah, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, and I think that's it. And then Anchor.fm. So those are the primary platforms. And I'll expand it to as many other platforms as I can over time. So we already have, let's see, our old 5 episodes still exist. They're still there to be listened to if you want to on those platforms. But yeah. Going forward, that's how we're going to do it. We're not limited to just fighting games now. It's just general gaming topics. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I think we already gave them kind of a feel for what we're like, and what kind of games we're into, what we've been playing lately. How about future plans? What do you plan on doing in future-wise in terms of like games and content creation? Like,
well, I want to eventually get a. Something weird happening with my mouse again. Okay, I want to. I'm thinking of trying to actually learn how to use video editing software. Maybe I'll start. Maybe I'll start actually doing YouTube videos, but I also want to mainly start streaming on Twitch. Maybe I'll do like an afternoon stream and like a late night stream a week or something. I don't know. This is just me speaking from the top of the head.
That's kind of what we do on
trying
this show.
Trying to decide what game or games to start with. But,
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea about like strategy in that way.
Okay. Well, I mean, I understand like the strats to an extent. I'm still figuring my own style out, but I can give you insight into what in terms of the data and statistics side of things, I look into that a lot, so that I have a good understanding of it.
Statistics pushes up classes.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it takes time to find people who come by and watch your stuff on the reg. But yeah. As for me, I'm figuring out my niche still. When Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak comes out, I'm hitting that hard. Absolutely.
Right.
And I'll be able to, like, play it while streaming and or recording all the time. If I'm not playing it in a handheld, I'll be recording or streaming it, pretty much. But on the Switch version, exclusively. And then I'm sure that'll bring out more support for the game too, because a lot of people are hyped for Sunbreak. And then Uh, Pokemon Unite's been fun, but I want to branch out to a few other types of games. Roller Champions is the next one I'm trying out on stream. Friday, June 3rd. Yeah, that's it. Um, Teams of 3, so viewers and like you, if you want, can join me on there. I haven't played any ranked yet, because I kind of only want to. I'm gonna try playing it when I can actually communicate with my teammates. There is in-game voice chat, but I have yet to see anyone actually use it. So, and the game is new. It's still got some bugs, but Twitch drops will be enabled. It's really fun. I actually going to be uploading something on the YouTube soon, from a really great game I had yesterday. I got a really hype play to win a match, and so I want to post the chunk of that match, or maybe the entire match, onto YouTube soon. And then I'm considering trying out a game called Project Genesis the week after. I'm gonna check it out beforehand, but it's like a first-person shooter, but you're playing as like androids, like robots. And it's sci-fi. It's a mixture of you're flying the spaceships. So it's got spaceship dogfighting, and then it goes into first-person shooter mode when you board ships to capture objectives or secure objectives and bring them back to your ship. And I'm just like, that looks kind of cool, you know? And they also have like a Twitch, can't talk, a Twitch drops event going on for that too. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll give that a try. So, and then associate VTuber Xander Mobus, Professor Xander Mobus. Yeah, he is actually going to be introducing me to the world of what is it? I think it's MechWarrior Online. So first-person mech piloting game, like industrial style walker mechs. So not like Gundam mechs or super robots, but I played through the tutorial. It's pretty cool. It's definitely very complicated. It's a very complex game. A lot of things you can do in it, in configurations and stuff. I'm gonna try it with my HOTAS setup, my flight stick, my hand on throttle and stick, because they drive like tanks. You go forwards and you go backwards and you turn. There's no real sidestepping. There's no strafing.
That would that by any chance be called MechWarrior Online Solaris 7?
Correct.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it's free to play. So I'm going to be trying that, actually, after this stream ends. I'm going to be playing it with him a little bit, so he can give me some pointers and such. I'm going to try my HOTAS setup, though. Since it drives like a tank, push the throttle forward to go forward, back to go backwards, and for rotation, I have the rocker on there, and then it actually gives me more buttons than my controller does. So I think
for
it's more
those
suited.
who may not know, what do you mean by HOTAS?
Well, yeah, I said it earlier, hand on throttle and stick.
I wasn't listening.
Well, that's your fault.
Okay.
But yeah, hand on throttle and stick. So it's left hand throttle, right hand joystick, and it's got more buttons and dials and stuff than my controller, so it's actually more well suited to a game like this.
I wasn't listening. I was downloading the game.
Yeah. So
yeah, I might try that out. Shoot, it should be part of my brand. I'm the prime over here.
Yeah, it's definitely more clunky than you would expect from what compared to what we've played a lot in terms of mech games, but it's got its own interesting charms. It's like I said, they handle somewhere between a walker and a tank, so it's definitely interesting.
Well, I mean, I played what was it? What's that one mech game that was on 360?
I don't remember, dude.
The one with the extra weapons on the shoulders.
Armored Core. No,
I played Armored Core once.
Even Armored Core 5 is snappier. Armored Core snappier than this.
Yeah, main reason why I stopped playing Armored Core though is because I had to play it on your console because I was like,
hello Xander. We were just talking about how I'm going to be trying out. Did I say Xander Mobus? Oh my goodness, Xander Turing. God, I don't know why I said Xander Mobus. Oh my goodness, Xander Turing, Professor Xander Turing. Oh
For
my
Xander, you
goodness.
know.
See, this
That
is
was
why this is why I have chat in here now. Because like they
I,
can set me straight.
I'm,
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
leaving. I'm gone.
I didn't even neither
I'm
of us
leaving.
caught that.
Um, Goodbye. I'm
Oh,
quitting
there
the
goes Sai.
podcast. I'm,
Uh
I'm quitting the
no, don't quit over that. Anyway,
podcast.
um but yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to
Just try
trying out
maybe. I haven't ever met him.
MechWarrior, and Sai here, he's actually going to download the game and maybe give that a try as well.
I am downloading the
Because I know
game.
Xander was collaborating with two other VTubers on that the other day, and that's when it actually caught my interest to give it a try myself. I love mech stuff, and it's never been as popular as I wanted it to be compared to like fantasy, and you know I've always been more of a sci-fi kind of guy. So, um, yeah, it's a real shame, but you know, because some people say that like in storytelling, sci-fi and fantasy are like intrinsically linked, but fantasy always eclipses sci-fi in exposure and in popularity, and I'm just like, at least more recently, like back in the I would say the 80s and the early 90s, sci-fi was real hot because people had these like bright, you know, futurism ideas. And when it whoa, what game was it? There's a game. What game was it that takes place in the year 2022? You remember I told you about that the other day?
Yeah,
We were
I
talking, and
forget
it's
the
like
name.
it's the year 2022. I'm like, wait, that's funny because
Mhm.
it's like nothing like what they envisioned back then with flying cars and crap, like in Back to the Future. Uh,
I
but
forget. I forget what you
I
had said
still
it was
love
called.
sci-fi way more than fantasy, and I tend to avoid, you know, elements of the occult as much as possible. And most of your fantasy is high fantasy and kind of has measures of that in it to varying degrees. So you know, but there are some genres where it's just like impossible to find a good sci-fi alternative, like the Souls genre, Souls likes.
Well, it's really a genre. It's more of a subgenre.
Well, yeah, but it's really hard to find a sci-fi one that's also high quality. Like there's one that recently was just released called Dolmen, and it's absolutely sci-fi all the way. But apparently it got some low ratings because it was a lower budget game, kind of unpolished, and a bit uninspired in some areas. And so it's just like I want something like that, but to be really good. But regardless, speaking of which, quick tangent, sidebar, as we do. Um, rumor has it that Armored Core is coming back.
All right, you mentioned that the other day.
Yeah.
I
And
feel like
Xander has a point here. It says, I feel like melee
melee
combat is
combat.
less plausible in a sci-fi
Well,
setting. Well,
yeah.
it
Well,
depends.
yeah. Usually they're using guns.
Well, it depends, because in a sci-fi setting, you can also have your like industrial grade like metal blade weaponry, and you can have your beam swords and stuff like that too. So you can still have melee combat, and that
But
actually ties in what I was saying about Armored Core.
usually it's guns, though.
So rumor has it that From Software is reviving Armored Core, which we haven't seen a new entry since Armored Core 5 Verdict Day back on the Xbox 360, and maybe PlayStation 3. I'm not sure if it got a PlayStation release, but it might have. But regardless, rumor has it it's coming back, and that it's going to be a little more like the Dark Souls series rather than classic Armored Core. If that's the case, then that means we're going to have a mech Souls-like that's going to have both a measure of ranged options and melee options, but with a different feel from Dark Souls. I feel so. I'm actually if this rumor turns out to be true, I'm gonna be down for that. Absolutely.
I also think fantasy is used a lot more often than sci-fi because of the simple fact that
Yeah,
in fantasy, kind of anything goes.
yeah. You have a lot more
You can
freedoms.
you can make whatever you want. Like sci-fi, at least has to conform to at least usually some sort of you
Yeah,
know fantasy pseudoscience at least.
yeah.
Otherwise,
I
it
mean, but at the
feel
same time,
out of
when
place.
you get
Whereas,
sci-fi that is truly creative within those limitations, it really shines. Like that's why Star
well, yeah,
Wars is so
I'm
good
not.
because it took elements of fantasy
Well,
but applied them to
Star,
sci-fi.
Star Wars is Star Wars is science fantasy. Okay, it's
Yeah.
not.
But then you
It's
have
not.
Mass Effect, which is a big sweeping sci-fi space opera. And
Yeah,
it's
well,
super
yeah,
popular
I
because
was,
of how
I was
creative it
never,
was.
I was never saying that
Yeah.
5 is
It's just
worse. I
harder
was
to
just
do.
saying why it's used less often because I think in general it's not as forgivable for
Yeah.
inconsistencies or things that don't make sense. Whereas in fantasy, people can
Well,
just hand wave stuff.
that's why I wish Gundam was more internationally popular because they break free of that with the little metaphysical elements with like the new types and stuff.
Yeah, well, Gundam don't give us games because we don't buy every game because not every
And when
game
they
good.
do, it's like
Don't give us the good
SD
game.
Gundam, the upcoming action RPG SD Gundam, which is going to be, inherently
Oh, you don't want
polarizing.
Baby Gundam? You don't want Baby Gundam? Well, then maybe you don't get Big Boy Gundam.
Yeah,
How
that's the
about that?
thing. Yeah, that's the problem. It's like because obviously of your Gundam fan base, not everyone is going to want the super deformed chibi versions.
I just,
So you're
I
limiting
love,
your reach to a
I love,
portion of a
on
niche.
rant time. I just love when and if you can't tell, this is sarcasm, when a company decides, oh, hey, guys, you know this thing that you like. Here's a mediocre game. Buy it if you want good ones. No, make good ones. You know that we want it.
Or even worse, when
Give
whether or
us the
not you
good
get
one.
a game in a certain IP is dependent on the sales performances of games under like of different IPs under the same publisher or developer. And it's no, like
Wait,
they'll do that
that's a
sometimes.
new one to me.
I've seen argued a lot online that the reason we don't get the Gundam Versus games on PC is because the last 3 games that the same developer made that were released on PC, they sold bad. And so now Bamco, Namco Bandai, refused to release them like another one, Try Again, on PC. And Bandai Namco is really bad about this, honestly. They're kind of a crap company, I'll be honest, in some of their decision making, because their reason for not giving like they'll literally, if a game does, if the previous game that they release on PC does poorly, like a Tales of game, then they're going to be hesitant to release I don't know, a Souls-like on PC. Like that's how their decision-making rationale goes, and it's really
It
weird.
literally just says it was Namco Games. Namco Bandai.
Yeah, that's why I just call him Bamco.
That was the developer, Namco Bandai Games.
Yeah, and so when they here's why. Okay, you remember how it took so long for them to release a Gundam Extreme Versus game in America or in the West? Well, you know what they did to test it in the West? Rise of the Incarnates. A game with the same gameplay, the same 2v2 arena fighter gameplay, and the cost-based stuff and everything, but with wholly original characters that had no brand recognition whatsoever.
No.
And yeah, and it was, I think it was free to play too. It was also free to play. When no one played it, they said, well, no one in the West is interested in that type of game.
What are these incarnates? What's the? Hold on, let me look this
basically
up.
Superpowered people, like awakened espers, basically. The gameplay was the same though. The dashed and shooting, and then some melee combat. And then like the awakening mode and stuff. Like it was the same game as Gundam Versus, but without Gundam, and it was free to play, and it was on PC.
Oh, great! So like, oh, whoa! Humans have awoken mythical power. Perfect. Yeah, give us discount Marvel Imperfects.
Yeah.
And if you buy that, you get more Gundam. Yeah, buy random human myth superhero person if you want the Gundams. No!
They officially stated that because that game did so bad that they concluded that that type of game is not in demand here in the West. And
give us the robots!
Exactly.
Give us the robots! I want the robots.
Yeah.
Not the fleshy people. I want the robots.
And put it on multiple platforms, not just PlayStation.
I have computer. I want to buy Gundam games. It's never on. It's like
Oh,
never on computer. It's never on Steam. It's
oh,
never
and
on.
Bamco is notorious for their PC ports being lacking in various areas, like either being poorly optimized or having like no resolution options or frame rate options and stuff like that, or having actual bugs that didn't exist on the console version on PlayStation.
Yeah,
And then it's like because it sells
yeah,
bad or gets
that
bad
reminds me.
reviews, they're like, oh well, then we'll just release less games on PC. It's just like, come
No,
on.
we want you to do it right.
Yeah, so that's the problem though.
I
They're very nearsighted. Namco Bandai particularly. Capcom was that way for a while. Remember there was the Capcom test where if they would release like a compilation of older games, if it didn't sell well, then they figure there's no demand for a newer entry in the series. Like everyone had
already
to buy
have the games.
buy the Mega Man
And
Legacy collection, and we did. A lot of us bought the Legacy collection and we got Mega
I
Man
bought
11.
those. I I bought Legacy 1, 2, and X Legacy
And
1,
that's the
2
reason why
on Switch.
and literally the Mega Man Legacy collections 1 and 2 are selling so well is the reason we got Mega Man 11. Like called the Capcom test, and it's been confirmed by people from internal like affairs that Capcom would do that. But it seems more recently they're coming around to realizing that that's just not a realistic way to gauge interest in a new entry of a franchise by using older entries in a compilation. And usually Capcom's compilations are pretty lacking, like
Yeah, and
crappy
there
netcode
are
or
also plenty of people.
bugs.
There are plenty of people that still have the original games and the original hardware,
Yeah,
and
or a more recent
usually that's
re-release,
going
right?
to be the better way to play it
Or a more
if you
recent
have it.
re-release. Like for
Yeah,
example, the Mega Man X collections, like on some platforms have more input latency than the Mega Man X what was it? Mega Man X Anniversary Collection on PlayStation 2 and Xbox Original and
and some
GameCube.
people are going to be like, "No, I already have one with better latency or whatever,"
Yeah.
and like, oh, that means they don't want the game. No, they just already have it,
Yeah, so that's the problem
guys.
with these big corporations
Make
sometimes is how they try to
make the
gauge interest
make a thing,
in franchises.
do this thing, you do it right,
Yeah,
you don't screw it up,
and it
people
works.
will want it, and
Yeah,
it works.
it just
It
works.
just works.
Yeah, and that's the problem because like to support Gundam games coming to the PC, I bought New Gundam Breaker, which is widely considered the worst in the Gundam Breaker franchise, and SD Gundam G Generation Cross Rays. Guess what? I haven't touched either of them. I haven't played either of them. I got them when they were on sale because I wanted to support Gundam games on PC, but I haven't touched either of them. And I'm probably never going to touch the SD Gundam one because just the Chibi Gundams. I just don't like I don't like the chibis that much. They don't appeal to me as much as the full-size Gundam mechs. And so I would absolutely play the same game if it had the real-size mechs. But and then Gundam Breaker, you and me should play that sometime. We were planning on that someday. But yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is Skyrim.
Yeah, Todd Howard. Well, you can't
Let's sell
sell someone
Skyrim
the
for the
same game
sixth
twice.
time.
Yeah, that's the
Let's sell
problem.
Skyrim
It's
for the
like,
sixth time.
but then sometimes it is a good thing to sell them the same game for
Okay.
preservation purposes, game
Yes,
preservation.
yeah, and some people want the convenience.
Yeah, of having it
Just
on the new
like
hardware.
sometimes you sell it too
But
much.
do it right and don't do it too much, right? Like release it on PC and don't delist it, and you're set. You know, games on PC tend to sell for longer, like to make sales for a longer period of time. They have a longer tail because of like Steam sales and such. So put it on PC. You know, make sure it runs on modern hardware, and you're good. Um, But yeah, it's a shame. It's a real shame how some of these companies handle it, and especially for genres or IPs that I love. And I think that's why I've been honestly getting into like a lot more indie games and games that are and gaming socially, gaming to play games with other people, because getting too stuck into one genre, into one series, into one school of thought, it just like I mean, I love fighting games, but I played almost nothing but fighting games for a bit too long, you know? And I missed out on some really good stuff that I'm catching up on now. like the battle royale genre. I was too close-minded towards them, and now I found I love them. Because of the gameplay actually offering me kind of what I want out of a relatively competitive game.
Well,
So broaden
I
your
was never
horizons, and
I was never against the battle royale genre. Just for a long while, the what seemed like the only games there in that genre were
like
not
Fortnite.
appealing to me. Yeah, I tried Fortnite once, maybe twice. The
Yeah,
building
it's
never.
fun now that there's the zero build modes, though.
The yeah, but
Like,
like
it's actually pretty
then
fun.
it just but without building, it just seems like it would be a characterless, shooter. Like
Eh,
there's
I mean,
nothing
it still
else.
feels good. Plus, it's the only one that's a third-person shooter, which I've always preferred third-person over first-person for shooters. So,
Like it's never really been appealing to me. Plus, okay, maybe this is hot take or inflammatory, or whatever. Just I don't like. There are some times when you don't want to play a game, in large part because of the people that do play the game. And like, there are plenty of people that say, "Oh, herder best crossover in gaming." No, okay. You just it's generic characters wearing skin suits of every random
yeah.
celebrity and quote unquote celebrity and Marvel and DC character and random video game characters without their soul.
Ryu from
Okay,
Street Fighter
it,
with a gun, or Batman with a
Batman
gun.
with a gun.
Which, it's funny,
No,
they had to make a comic crossover with DC Comics, Batman
yeah,
Fortnite, that explains that he lost his memories, which is why he's
yeah.
actually able to
That's
use
actually the
a
sickest thing to
gun.
come out of Fortnite. Actually, I heard
Yeah,
about
no, I
that.
watched a like a
I think we
recap,
watched the same video.
like a comic story type thing or something like that on those,
I think it was
or
commentary.
Comics Explained or something like that, and yeah, it was actually pretty decent storytelling.
Yeah, but I it's still like, and I've seen on places on the internet like, oh, best crossover. No, it's not a crossover. Okay, it's collaborations.
Yeah,
And like, people compare it to like Smash Brothers. It's like, bro, the skins in Fortnite don't have any essence of the character,
Fortnite character
whereas
skins are, I would say, more akin to
they're
Brawlhalla's
skins.
character
It's
skins.
literally it's skins. It's
Yeah,
literally what it's called. But
it's
like,
more
for
like the
instance,
crossover. Yeah,
an actual crossover game like Smash Bros.
where they're representative of their source
Most of
material.
the characters, how they play, is representative of the character. Yeah. So,
Exactly.
long story short, that's also part of the reason I don't want to play Fortnite, and also it just seems characterless. I'm not a fan of the building, but without the building, it also feels like the game doesn't have much of an identity. PUBG never appealed to me. You know,
Yeah, we've never been
Apex
big
is
into military shooters, so
yeah, Apex is kind of fun,
military style.
but
But to be fair, I mean,
yeah,
Fortnite is the only one I probably would stream that would fit in with my brand as well, because there's no blood or anything like that. So,
but yeah,
but
but
regardless, yeah. So we've been ranting. Now you got a good taste of
yeah.
what a CounterPick podcast rant is like,
No,
where we ramble.
we might have time for a rant section. I don't know. Let's see.
You
Let's
know
see
what?
if we have more things to rant about.
I
Let's
could
see
see
if I
that
have more
happening.
things to rant about.
I could really see that happening. But yeah,
I can get irate when I want to.
yeah, no, it's entertaining though, and I've gotten like that every once in a while, but I don't know if I've done it on the podcast before.
I don't think you have. No.
No,
You
may get a
I
YouTube
rant.
video or two with me
Okay.
ranting, but
I rant. You ramble.
yeah,
That's
fair
our,
enough. I
that's
don't really
our
get
rants.
worked up enough to rant.
Yeah.
Yeah. But still, yeah. So this is a good little taste of what the podcast is like. Hope you look forward to future episodes where we have a main topic, our audience voted topic over on my Discord and on Twitter.
I think we're
And
pretty much coming up on time
yep,
too. So.
and then the supporter topic for Twitch subscribers and Patreon supporters. So yeah, 2 or 3 topics per episode, depending on the Patreon portion. That's the iffy portion. Depends on if there's anyone who wants to vote on it, support and vote. So
We should
Patreon
work on
/
our outro.
Twitch subs. Huh?
We should work out an actual outro. I don't think we do really have an
Oh
outro.
yeah, fair enough. We've never really, our style has always been to never have a specific outro though, and to just do things off the cuff. It's always been more fun that way. But yeah, so I think we're gonna call it on this episode. So thank you to everyone who came out in the live stream, and thank you to everyone who watches the audio only version. Well, not watches the
Yeah.
YouTube
No, no,
upload.
no. Commit. Watches
Okay,
the audio version.
watches the YouTube upload, and everyone who listens to the audio only version. So yeah, it'll be available all sorts of places. Um, yeah, so that's it. This has been Sam, Dr. Sam, Samuel Ray, s-factor-sam, whatever you want to call me, and Cy Prime over there. Expect us next time. Cy's going to be my all-time, always co-host. Hopefully we'll find a third chair, our guest speaker, for the next episode. May not be an episode in July. For personal reasons, I will not be able to do one. And so that's, well, probably not. Maybe at the end of the month, I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. If not, then in August for sure. And that's a certainty. So I'll try to do one in July if I can. All right. Thank you, this is Xander Turing and Chi or Chi.exe for coming out on the stream. Thank you to everyone who listens or watches the uploads. I appreciate every single one of you. And we will see you next episode. Episode 2. Have a great one.
Later. Thinking about streaming in a bit too. Maybe. Still got to figure out what game I want to play.